Hey guys, DJ here with Next Level Coaching. This is game one, round one of the Cube Draft. And so we have an interesting hand. We have all of our colors of mana, and we have some removal spells, bounce effect, and some late game cards. So this hand is definitely acceptable. We pretty much snap keep it. And our opponent keeps his hand. We leave with Swamp, and we're going to bounce land next turn, and so on and so forth. So we're hoping he doesn't have a very aggressive deck at this point. He goes Swamp Go, which bodes very well for us. So at this point, we're still on track with the plan of Is It Boiler Works pass. And he probes us, which is interesting. So he's probably some sort of green-blue deck or something. And he just still has nothing, which is very, very good because we have very good late game cards. And we just kind of want to get to the late game. So we play the Rakdos Signet, and in hindsight, this is a mistake. We should have played the Swamp even though he saw the island with Gataxian Probe, because it's possible he may forget he saw the island. But it's largely irrelevant, it's a little thing. Like, he knew both of the lands anyway, so it probably doesn't matter, but since we didn't need the island this turn, it likely should have been a Swamp. And our opponent still does nothing, so I'm leaning away towards him being... I'm leaning away from him being an aggro deck and towards him being a control deck at this point. So now we just get to pass again in teachings for whatever if he doesn't do anything. And we're looking to draw a land here so we can start capsizing with buyback on his lands if he does nothing. Well, unfortunately he plays a creature here. Blight Mom is not so bad, though we have Terminate in our deck. So the game plan here is we teachings for Terminate, but we don't intend on terminating his Blight Mamba just yet. We want to get some value out of our guys first. Also saving the Terminate in case he plays bigger guys later in the game, because we don't actually need to terminate the Blight Mamba now. So we draw our land, so that turns on our capsize with buyback, so that's very good for us. And we bounce his Blight Mamba, and then we get to start getting in the beats with Mana War. That jellyfish is just insane, by the way. Big fan of him. So our opponent recasts the Blight Mamba and just passes the turn. Now I don't terminate yet because, again, we can still get more value from his Blight Mamba. And if I was going to pull the trigger on terminate, we terminate and then attack, or we capsize and tap out and attack, but there's no reason to do that because he may just tap out for like a 6-drop next turn, and we don't want to have bounce to 2-drop and be staring down a 6-drop when we're tapped out. Also, if he taps out anyways, that turns on our Lightning Bolt or Flame Slash for the Blight Mamba. So at this point, with the Fist of Ironwood, we get to blow him out with Lightning Bolt in response. One of the things that the deck that I drafted can't do very well is fight off hordes of small creatures. A lot of its removal is 1-for-1, and its creatures are like X2s. So it's hard to fend off a bunch of 1/1s. So now with 6 mana, the Fist being his best play, I think it's correct to use Terminate on Blight Mamba now. Or actually, it's just better to capsize it with buyback. That works too. So now we get to start beating down. And he isolations our Mana War. We don't care about that. Instead of playing Seagate Oracle here, we just want to capsize our Mana War end of turn and bounce whatever he plays with it on our turn. Which all he's got is a Blight Mamba anyways. So we capsize our guy. We get to replay the Mana War, and we get to force E first. Okay, so we're not forcing. So I believe the line I took this turn was Mana War, Seagate Oracle into Mana War, and it's likely incorrect. It was likely force E into Mana War was the better line here. My thought process at the time was I just wanted more power and play to end the game quickly because he clearly has nothing in his hand. But I think in hindsight that was a mistake. The way it works out is we still have Terminate mana open though, so it's not that big of a deal. Okay, so he pretty much has revealed himself to be some sort of weird infect deck, and now we're just going to terminate the Blight Mamba. And things become awkward because Terminate doesn't do damage. Cube does that to people sometimes. You just play with these old cards, some cards you haven't seen or played with in years, if ever. And so things like this occur. It's unfortunate that he didn't save that and didn't realize how it worked, but fortunate for us at least, unfortunate for him. So we clear out his blocker. He's got one card left in hand. We have Capsize with buyback ready to go. Can't imagine a scenario in which we're too far behind this game. And we get to 4C and we just like find the nuts off the 4C and we don't even need to figure out what to do with it. But had he not scooped the game, we would have done something along the lines of bin the bottom the island and then keep the other 3 spells, drawing the recoil, and it doesn't matter what the other one we draw is because we can't cast it this turn anyways. And we're back for game 2 of round 1. And our opponent keeps, we keep this one. It's a slow hand, but we have an island and some red sources, and we do have the Mana War on turn 3. He showed us to not be a very fast deck game 1. He has like Glistener Elf and Blight Mamba, but it didn't look like he has any pump spells. So we should be able to live long enough to stick the Mana War, bounce a guy, and start to stabilize. And if he does have bigger threats in his deck, we have the Savant and Quicksilver Geyser to bounce them. So I keep this one. I felt it was better than a random 6. And he opens with the Probe and a Gideon's Lockkeeper, which we don't really care about. Didn't want to draw a land there. It's unfortunate, because we didn't need it, but... Excuse me. And so, pretty much nothing's going to happen for a few turns. Gideon's Lockkeeper even forgets to attack one time. Or he had a very sick read. One of the two. Get to bounce it, get our guy in place, start tempoing him. Now, instead of playing Mana War last turn, we could have just cracked our bauble and played like an Ogre Savant this turn. But I'm not really sure which line is better. I think it's negligible either way. And the only real difference is if he had played a second creature this turn and we had went with the Ogre Savant play, we'd be behind on board. So anyways, we're attacking here. He cracks back. And an Elvish Visionary, that's kind of annoying. And this is really annoying. This is going to be pretty hard for us to beat here, all these 1/1s. So the plan is to crack Bauble, and then I believe we play Ogre Savant on the Gideon's Lockkeeper here on our turn. Yep, that's the line we took. And we've drawn a few too many land. Hopefully that doesn't continue. But So he doesn't swing into our 3-2, so that's good because it looks like we've stabilized the board now. And then we draw a Teachings, which is a very good spell to draw. So we get to rumble with our guys, and we can always Teachings for a Lightning Bolt if he double blocks and we want to blow him out. Luckily, he just takes it because we really don't want to have to use our Teachings like that anyway. And now things get fun where we can like bounce his Saproling and like our Mana War or something if we need to. If he tries to use a removal spell or something like that on it. So he's bashing, and end of turn we're teaching for a capsize. Now we could make an argument over a removal spell, but capsize just pretty much is the ultimate removal spell. We have enough life for to be in the situation where we have a few turns before his 1/1s kill us, so we have the luxury of time, so we can just start slowly picking off his 1/1s. So capsize is the pick here. If we were at a lot lower life total, capsize wouldn't be the pick. It would be just a burn spell, like well, essentially in this spot like lightning bolt, just for the Gideon's Lockkeeper. But since we have a reasonable life total, we can go for capsize and start planning out the long game. And we swing here because we want to put as much pressure on him as possible. And now he's just kind of staring down lethal. And we have a Teachings in our graveyard, which can grab a Lightning Bolt. So he's effectively at 1 life here. And he doesn't know about that yet, so there's a possibility he makes a mistake. And this is a perfect opportunity to blow him out with Quicksilver Geyser. And he scoops. And that was match 1.